Every year here at the SimRacing Expo, hardware manufacturers bring their latest and greatest products. Some products are unveiled to the public, some are actually launched here at the show. This year we've got wheelbases, steering wheels, pedals, motion rigs, crazy VR contraptions. And in this video, we're going to take a look at a lot of the most exciting and innovative products heading your way this year and in 2026. Now, just a word of warning, we're going to be looking at a lot of products here today. None of these are reviews, these are just first hands-on impressions. So with that in mind, let's take a look.
With so much to get through, how about we start with one of SimRacing's longest-serving hardware manufacturers?
In 27 years of Fanatec existence, they've never had a range-topping podium pedal set. Until now, because here at the SimRacing Expo, this new pedal set has been unveiled. It comes in two variants. You have a 3-pedal set, the Fanatec Podium pedals, and you also have these, a 2-pedal set called the Fanatec Podium Formula pedals. A couple of interesting features. We'll talk about the highlight in a second. First of all, you've got these very interesting face plates on here with sort of wings to keep your feet in check, and you've got carbon fiber heel cups as well. Cast aluminium frame on the brake pedal too, but the main headline here has to be the fact that you have 4 adjustable cups on here, which is a way of changing essentially the tension of the elastomers and springs. It's called the Elastomer Compression Control System. It's a patented Fanatec design, and essentially what you can do is twist all of these cups to change the stiffness and how much compression there is on the elastomer. So if you wind them all the way off entirely and essentially compress them, you end up with what is effectively a brick wall style of pedal, where it's a very, very short travel, very hard to press, or you can fully open them up the other way and create a softer feel. You can switch out the springs, swapping them between soft and hard. You can switch out the elastomers as well if you want, but you don't need to. All of this is tool-free. You make the adjustments just with the cups and you can completely transform the feel of this brake pedal. A couple of other interesting adjustments on here as well. You can slide them left to right as you normally can with the modular pedal set, but we've got some markings on here to show exactly where you've been and where you have them set. You can also adjust the bite point on the clutch on the 3-pedal set, which is interesting too. Although the 3-pedal set doesn't include these little extra winged faceplates here and the carbon fiber heel cups. You also have these mounting points here at the top, which are pretty much the perfect size to be able to mount a haptic reactor in future, so you can add vibration to these pedals. It's actually the correct mounting solution for some existing products too, so bear that in mind. You can make these pedals vibrate. However, it's not a force feedback pedal, it's not an active pedal. A lot of other manufacturers are going down the force feedback route for their top of the range pedals. Fanatec have stuck to something different, so it's all going to come down to how much this product costs. We don't actually have a price yet, and I think that's going to be very important to see where it sits in the market and judge people's reactions. Now, another big benefit to Fanatec's elastomer compression control system is to try and prevent elastomers essentially stretching and being damaged over time. So the whole point of the system is to sort of protect the elastomers. Now, I'm finally on the rig. I'm not having a long session on it, so basically I don't have enough time to really find my perfect settings. But what I can say, having tried with the cups fully open and fully closed on the spring, adjusting a few things, you can clearly feel the differences in the pedal. You can get a very, very stiff, not brick wall-like, but very firm and short pedal, and you can quite easily open it out again. Obviously, it feels solid, it feels good, lots of resistance, 200 kilogram load cell. So the potential is big in terms of how much you can really squeeze out of these pedals. And importantly, they're set for release in Q1 next year. Not the only new Fanatec products as well. We of course recently had the CSL GT3 steering wheel to replace the very popular old McLaren one, and that's out now. And then also coming in Q1 2026, we'll have the new Podium wheelbase. Now that's going to have 25 Newton meters of torque with a capability to overshoot up to 33 Newton meters, and it's based on the existing Club Sport technology, but just upgraded internals. It looks similar as a chassis. So Fanatec are making moves. They're obviously looking at the top of their range right now, having spent quite a lot of time recently developing the middle of the range. These pedals are going to be very versatile no matter what rig you're on. You can obviously adjust them from GT to Formula style. You can also invert them as well, so plenty of options, and you can do all of that whilst sort of keeping the ergonomics in check. They've been designed in a clever way in that sense.
So Fanatec has clearly been busy working on the upper end of its direct drive ecosystem as well as the entry point. Meanwhile, another long-term sim racing heavyweight has been doing a similar thing, but in a different way.
Those with a Thrustmaster ecosystem, especially with the more recent T598 for instance, have really been wanting a load cell brake pedal option for the race line pedals. We knew it was coming at some point. Well, finally we have it. I'm now testing the load cell upgrade kit for the race line pedal set. Price around about €140. It's still to be confirmed, but that's what we're expecting. And we expect the product to release at some point next year with new faceplates. We've got the kind of carbon style faceplates in the front there. And of course, the important part, the load cell. Maximum load capacity of 100 kilograms. And of course, it just adds a level of resistance to your braking experience. It allows you to feel more, it allows you to trail brake more accurately. And it's a really, really important part of any sim racing setup. So if you are someone who's in that ecosystem and don't have a load cell at this point, then it's going to be a very important upgrade. It's not the only new product Thrustmaster have brought to the SimRacing Expo this year. We also have the black edition of the T818, which hasn't been on sale recently, and that's because we've got this black edition coming soon, which is going to be cheaper than the original T818, but improved. So it's going to be more reliable. There's also been settings added to adjust the force feedback within the software. You can make more precise adjustments and tailor it to your own needs. And you'll still be able to buy it in other colours as well. You'll just have to buy the panel separately. And then Thrustmaster has also brought a range of new steering wheel products as well. You have an update to the SF1000 to bring it up to spec with the T818 and 598 in a kind of SF25 version. You also have this new EVO. Now, we've already had the EVO hub, but now we've got two new rim options coming. They're in prototype form at the moment. You've got a round option and this version with a cut off at the top that I'm driving at the moment. So we'll have to wait and see more on that one, but at least gives you some more customization options if you're looking for the EVO Racing hub system.
Of course, the SimRacing Expo isn't just about the industry giants. Every year, it provides an opportunity for smaller businesses to showcase innovation, and one product that grabbed a lot of attention this time around was the BDH Active Shifter. A family-owned operation based in Yorkshire, England, BDH specialises in premium, mechanical, realism-focused sim racing shifters. And given the aerospace-grade materials and special features I'm about to tell you about, you won't be surprised to hear...
It's not cheap, coming in at around about £1,800, and it doesn't release yet. It releases in March 2026, or that's the plan anyway. However, this is a pretty special shifter. Now, because it's an active shifter, it actually has force feedback technology within it, and it tries to basically simulate what it's like to actually drive a proper race car with a proper old-fashioned gearbox. And it's not always as simple as sims make it out to seem. You get a lot of juddering. If you try and change gear without the clutch in, it doesn't go in. Eventually you might get it in. It's all trying to create added realism, added immersion. And even when I come to a stop in neutral and just let the engine idle, I start to get a lot of vibrations on the shifter itself, which is really, really cool to see. There's also a lot of really cool customization options on here. There's a bunch of presets for changing the style of shifting, so you can either have like a dogleg gearbox, or you can have 6 gears, 7 gears, reverse at the top left or the bottom right. 50 different presets are around about there anyway, so a huge amount of customization options. And you also have this little tension dial here where you can make the gear a little bit stiffer or a little bit softer depending on how you rotate that. So it's really is a customizable shifter, trying to recreate what it's like to be in one of those H-pattern, almost like club level motorsport is how I view it. I'm driving a Caterham right now, and it reminds me a lot of racing the Mazda around Croft. You really have to think about your gear changes, and it challenges you in the way that the real car would.
A quick reminder that whilst this particular video looks at some of the amazing hardware on show at the SimRacing Expo, there was also a big focus on the games and simulations themselves this year. We have a bunch of dedicated hands-on videos covering the likes of Project Motor Racing, Rennsport, and the newly unveiled Assetto Corsa Rally, all available to watch on this Traxion YouTube channel. So check those out if you have the time, and make sure you subscribe if you haven't already, if you don't want to miss more videos like these in future.
Our SimRacing Expo content is brought to you by our sponsor D-Box, the exclusive provider of haptic systems to the FIA. D-Box's sim racing motion platforms are professional grade and used by elite drivers all over the world to maximise immersion. High fidelity data from the sim allows you to feel every bump, slide and texture change across the surface. Additionally, D-Box's precision will remain the same no matter the weight. To find out more, click on the link in the description. 1 year ago at this expo, I tried out SimLab's prototype direct drive wheelbases, which were set to offer pretty much more Newton meters of torque than any other wheelbase on the market, but they were just prototypes at that point. Fast forward a year, pre-orders are starting in December, with the first orders expected to arrive in mid-February 2026 for the new DDX26 and DDX39. Perhaps unsurprisingly, the numbers in the names there, 26 and 39, refer to the peak level of Newton meters of torque. You've got industrial grade servo motors giving you the power. At the moment we still don't have the sort of refined software, so we're not able to tweak any settings at the moment. You're just basically running off of raw data, which was the same as the prototype versions last year, but there have obviously been a lot of changes since then. Currently driving at the moment on iRacing in the F3 car around Spa with the DDX26, which will be between 1,200 and 1,300 euros at launch. Of course, as always, you can find out all the information about the products and the prices of various currencies and stuff like that on the TraxionGG website.
The The spec sheets alone for these bases are incredibly impressive. During testing, however, despite the sensation through the corners feeling a lot like it did 1 year earlier, I did immediately notice a problem. One that wasn't there before, and one that you might be able to see in the footage. There was a clear lack of feeling on the straights whenever the wheel was near centre, and then, as I ran over a bump, the wheel would suddenly be pulled in one direction, creating a strange artificial dartiness, and I wasn't the only one to notice this. I discussed this with SimLab at the time and was told this was a latency issue related to the latest firmware, which was being investigated. And since the show, a YouTube comment from the official SimLab account underneath Dave Cam's excellent community-focused video claims that the problem has been found, relating to a smoothing filter. But obviously, it was a shame to have this happen during the expo, with so many potential customers there to try it out. Unfortunately, the issue was also present on the rig setup with the DDX39, but at least it didn't impact the feeling through the corners.
So I'm just having a brief go for the first time on the DDX39 as well. Turned to around about 70%, so we're still not using even 3/4 of the available power. I mean, why would you need to, of course? But it's just knowing the headroom's there is good. Straight out of the box in terms of detail and performance, it's feeling very similar. I think there is a little bit more overall power going on at the moment. Of course, it's turned in anyway. But it's feeling a bit heavier through the corners. Actually, going over the curbs is giving me, more of a bigger impact, let's say, especially when you go bounding over them. Oh, really, as soon as you feel the rear end coming around there, instantly you're getting the snap from the car, but it's giving me the information before I could otherwise perceive it for sure. So basically, before I'm even aware that the car's beginning to slide or the rear's coming around, the steering wheel for sure lets me know without a moment's hesitation, and it just kind of makes the whole thing seamless because you catch it before it even starts happening properly, and away you go.
Another high-end wheelbase release just around the corner is of course the Simucube 3. We already have a video on the channel taking a look at the key info, but the Expo was our first chance to go hands-on with it, and first impressions were mighty impressive across the board. Meanwhile, the likes of PXN, Thermaltake, Conspit and RevoSim also brought their own latest direct drive wheelbases to the show for those looking to spend 3 figures instead of 4. Overall, it's just great to see healthy competition at both ends of the market. By this point, I'd seen and tried a lot of hardware at the show without too many major surprises. However, I was about to experience something a bit different, something which, on paper, sounded somewhat terrifying.
So we've just found Aris, and he is about to show me one of, if not the most unique thing I have ever seen at the SimRacing Expo.
As you can see, I'm currently getting strapped into what is essentially a very fancy box. This is the first public appearance for the Gravitron simulator, and its purpose is to simulate realistic and constant G-forces, up to 3G, via head movement, as you can see in the footage. To achieve this immersion, you strap yourself in, insert some earphones for radio comms, pop on a balaclava, then the VR headset, and finally, the helmet itself, by which point, all of your senses are essentially in a controlled environment. Given the high fidelity data required to achieve the ultra low latency of just 1 millisecond that's vital for this experience to work, only Le Mans Ultimate and ACC are currently available to try. So Aris sent me out on ACC around Zandvoort in the Ferrari 296 and gradually increased the Gravitron's strength from 70% up to 100%. Whilst I can't directly communicate through this video just how loud and intense everything felt from inside the helmet, I did mic up and try my best to share the experience I was going through.
It's funny, I must look absolutely ridiculous at this moment, but when you're in here, you're completely oblivious to the outside world. It's like, you have no idea you're wearing a helmet, you're just you have no space left in the brain to actually think about anything. You're just completely kind of consumed by what you're doing.
Unsurprisingly, the idea is that Gravitron can be used by drivers as a training tool, strengthening neck muscles and conditioning you for long, hot race stints where maintaining concentration and consistency is key. It isn't on sale publicly, but if it proves a success in the world of professional motorsport, a consumer version may be considered in future. One of these in your living room sure beats a treadmill in my eyes.
I've never been so kind of all consumed by a simulator experience before. Like, I've tried lots of motion platforms and all of these things, but this is definitely the closest it's got to the sort of exertion that you have in not just a race car, but a high performance race car, when you've got really strong brakes, you've got downforce, you've got a lot of power, and you have that adrenaline rush for a short period of time. In the world I'm from anyway, with sprints and hill climbs, it all happens very quickly. You don't even know if you breathe during a run, and I've never experienced that sort of energy in a sim before, where your brain has got just no space left for even thinking about what's going on outside. It's just absolutely all-consuming. You also get the the little jolt under certain shifts as well. That's something I could very much relate to with a sequential box. And yeah, I did not expect to have an experience like this in sim racing probably this decade. But wow, and I couldn't do it all the time, that's for sure, but as a training tool, as a way of practicing for events and actually trying to replicate the amount of energy you're going to use and need, it's something truly unique. That's something else. I said unique, but it exceeded my expectations in terms of just the energy usage.
Well, I need a bit of a lie down after that, so in the meantime, here's something I made earlier.
Simagic recently released its new range of wheelbases, EVO, and this is the new flagship one, EVO Ultra, 28 Nm of torque, top of the range, great to see. This is a new set of pedals, the P700s. They're one step above the P500s, coming in at $200 for the 2-pedal set, $250 for the 3-pedal set. Lots of adjustment options. There's even a mounting solution for pushing back against a wall so you can run it on the floor. 150 kilogram load cell sensor. That's great. Both of these things are coming soon. However, there's one more thing that I think is perhaps even more interesting, and it's this new wheel. This is the Zeus Formula steering wheel, Zeus being the new flagship line of steering wheels for Simagic. It is a work of art, aluminium frame with a carbon fiber front plate, all the usual clicky buttons, but these will be backlit as well and customizable through Simagic software, which hasn't been released yet. The wheel has also not been released yet. We're hoping for Q1 next year before we see this on sale, but it's got a lot of flashy lights, a lot of fancy things. It feels great, looks great, all the usual stuff. I think a lot of people are going to like this wheel. However, it also has a party trick, and that is this Magic Dash 4, another product that hasn't been launched yet, but I'll show you the party trick. Look at that. This DDU clips straight onto any Alpha Evo base, and it will also be able to clip onto the Alpha bases with some adapters, which will be announcing sometime soon. Very cool.
The Simagic Zeus was one of many stunning steering wheels we saw at the show. As always, Asher Racing brought a whole host of premium offerings, and a McLaren Artura GT4. Huizenveld, known primarily for its market-leading pedals, brought its unique and performance-focused Huizenveld 1 wheel rim, certainly one to watch moving forwards. And then, yet another brand known for its premium quality brought along a vaguely familiar-looking prototype.
As well as making sim racing wheels, Cube Controls also design and produce real wheels for real racing cars. GT3s, hypercars, Formula cars, you name it, Cube Controls may well have created one. This is their latest one, the Cube Controls Taurus. It's a prototype form at the moment. Taurus, of course, meaning the star constellation. Taurus also a Pokemon that represents a bull, which is interesting. This prototype wheel may look familiar to you because it is based on a real-world steering wheel. It looks a lot like one you may have seen, and if you haven't seen yet, you may well see next year in motorsport, so watch this space. But it's got the usual paddles at the back, normal shifter paddles. You've got the 2 clutch paddles at the bottom, which aren't final yet. There's a few things that aren't final on this. It's a full carbon fiber chassis, 2 different variants though. You've got twill or forged carbon design. You've got these lovely buttons, again, not final. These rotary encoders at the bottom, these will be backlit. This will be a multi-positioning switch at the top, and then these ones will be incremental. One other interesting thing is that these buttons are 1000 Hz response time rather than the usual 100, for instance, that you see on a lot of wheels. So that means that these buttons will respond instantly and it'll just feel better when driving. So very, very excited to try this. Hopefully it'll be available sometime around Christmas, so not long to wait, but that's not been confirmed yet either.
And in terms of synergy between real-world GT3 wheels and sim racing alternatives, we have yet another example.
We're currently at the VPG stand, and last year they brought about a sim racing version of the Mustang GT3 wheel. This year I'm sitting inside a Porsche 992.2 Cup car. Very, very new car. This is the real steering wheel on the car. This, however, is VPG's sim racing version. Fully carbon fiber, £1,200 excluding VAT, and becoming available to buy as this SimRacing Expo is happening. So you can get your hands on this. It's very lightweight, feels very high quality, but another example of a fantastic sim racing wheel that very much mirrors what the real wheel feels like. My first time actually using this VPG Porsche Cup car wheel, there are a couple of other things to note that are slightly different from the version on the real car. One of them is the fact that this one has 2 funky switches to the left and right, and also the dials here for traction control and ABS. On the real car, you can't go from 11 to 0. There's a stopper, understandably. Whereas in this version, we can dial it back the way from 0 to 11. Other than that, it's pretty much the same as the real thing. One last thing are these 2 paddles at the back behind the steering wheel. They actually act as an adjustable bite point clutch, a hand clutch when you're coming off from a standing start, but as soon as you're about 40 kilometers an hour, they can act as look left and look right, which is obviously ideal for sim racers. By the way, testing all of this, I've got the Simucube 3 base on the rig, and I'm also using a Novus motion platform. Now this whole setup costs over £30,000, but it includes everything you see here together. So it's a pretty immersive all-in sim racing experience. Let's hope it doesn't simulate the dangers of this crash I'm about to have. There we go. Someone's been in the same wall before. Perfect timing.
Speaking of all-inclusive motion platforms,
this crazy motion contraption surrounding me right now is the ImSim Garra Carbono edition. I've got 270 degrees of surround visuals, 270 degrees of surround sound, a lot of motion, a lot of vibration, a lot of shaking, and a lot of noise from my Ferrari F40 LM. Everything that could be carbon fibre in this is carbon fibre. I've never seen so much of it in my life on a motion platform. I've got a fancy Recaro seat behind me as well, keeping me comfortable. Put it this way, I don't think any of this is cheap. Now, I tried ImSim here at the show last year, so it's great to try it again with this new cockpit that they've got. It's not the kind of thing that I would probably have in my house. I wouldn't be able to afford it for one, but it's just such a dramatic experience. And obviously you can turn it down, so I think if you're running at home you would turn it down if I can find the gear. But to just jump on a show like this, especially for members of the public who maybe haven't tried this sort of equipment before, just being able to experience all the noise and the chaos and the movement just gives you a little bit of a taste of what the adrenaline rush is like. And I love that people are able to try things like this at shows. It's a good reason to come to the SimRacing Expo. This, if you don't have a lot of fancy equipment at home, it's just a great place to taste things. Now, if you do want this at home, unfortunately I don't have a price for you yet. I can imagine it's probably not cheap. I also don't have a release date for you either. This is just a prototype, but cool nonetheless.
as you can see, this year's Expo was jam-packed with incredible hardware, and honestly, in this video we've barely scratched the surface. We didn't talk about Trak Racer's new Alpine branded aluminium profile cockpit, or GT Omega's new Jimmy Broadbent range for endless teal behind the wheel. Isn't it great to see more colour being brought to sim racing rigs? We also never mentioned this SRP Peugeot 205 T16 simulator, or the €5,000 Niam Simtech E6 Hexapod motion platform. Far too much here to show you, so all I can say is that in order to see everything, you simply need to be here next year. I say here, but it was actually announced during the closing moments of the main stage show that next year's SimRacing Expo will move from Dortmund to Frankfurt, and tickets are already available. For all of the information, check out the link in the description. My highlight of the show? Honestly, just seeing so many passionate sim racing fans having an amazing time with friends and family, trying and buying all sorts of products, racing each other, and overall just soaking up the fantastic atmosphere. In fact, creating it. It was this energy throughout the weekend that made it so special.
So with the show coming to a close, I do have to say it's been the best sim racing expo ever. No doubt about that. The companies have really stepped up this year, and of course next year there's going to be 2 sim racing expos. We're going to be in Germany, but also in Charlotte. Now I want to hear from you which of the items we've covered at the show, or items that we may have missed, has caught your attention. So do let us know down in the comments below. And remember, if your favourite thing wasn't featured in this video, we may well have a Traxion article about it. So keep an eye on the TraxionGG website on a daily basis. That's going to be it from us today. So until next time, thank you so much for watching and have a great day.